Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at the Union Seeker. That's the guy you can see on screen right now. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first half of the video, and in the second half of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment and everything else. So without further ado, let's get right into it. What this character is going to be about is pretty much just a shotgunner on paper, but we have some tweaks here that might make it a little bit interesting. So what I wanted to take a look at here in detail is I wanted to use a quad shotgun, but a specific one. So see, it's not really a secret, to be honest, that quad double-barrel shotguns can be quite a mighty force in the game. For shotgunners, that is, obviously. There's a good chance that no shotgun in the game will ever compare directly to, let's say, a stealth commando or a heavy gunner in terms of DPS. But when it comes to shotguns, yeah, the double barrel shotgun, the quad version, can be quite a devastating weapon. And the thing is, pretty much always when I see one of these traded, it's a quad explosive version, just because it's a ton of fun, and it's kind of obvious to see why that would be a good choice, right? But I never really seen anybody trade for a other quad version of the weapon, to be honest. And when I see them in vendors, vending machines, they always tend to go really cheap. And I think people sleep on it a little bit. And while I definitely enjoy a quad explosive double barrel shotgun, I don't even think it's necessarily the best you can do with it. And on this occasion here we have a quad version with better vats hit chance, and in addition to that we have the vats critical meter filling 15% faster legendary effect, which for those of you who have seen a few of my videos is something I really like to use, just because as a full health build, this is pretty much the only reliable way to get a crit on every second shot without using a ton of buffs. These raiders, by the way, seem really hesitant to acknowledge me shooting them for some reason. Usually when you shoot them once or twice they turn hostile, so this was a little bit of a sitting duck situation. But anyways, back to the topic. Yeah, you can obviously get the 33 or 34 necessary luck to get a crit on every second shot with critical savvy as a full health build, just with a few extra armor pieces that have extra luck on it, a few buffs, temporary buffs and so on. But it's not something you just set up and then run with it. You have to permanently maintain that. There's ways though with the vats critical meter filling faster to do it permanently without relying on buffs, and that's what we're going to take a look at here. In the past when I've done this, I'm pretty much always have been going with the Vault suit under armor, just because it gives you 2 extra luck, and that way you basically just need a little bit of legendary luck, and yeah, that's it. On this occasion though, and 1 piece of armor with luck basically. On this occasion though, I wanted to use other under armor, in specific service under armor, just because we are loud and proud. We're not going to utilize stealth, and I don't want to rely completely on armor. I just want it to be a little bit more tanky. And sorry, by the way, this must be horribly confusing. It is for me as well. I'm going to switch to first person just for a second here. And yeah, I think it's best to just take things into our own hands here and just take out some of the scores that are really unnerving me at the moment. But yeah, as you can see here, in terms of damage, we're really not missing out. And yeah, we do have 23 extra luck permanently, just because we use the herd mentality mutation, which is something I rarely do, for the simple reason that, as you can imagine, I'm playing solo a whole lot of the time, and I really just don't want to do a team every time I switch servers, which sounds stupid because it's actually no effort whatsoever. It's really easy to do, so yeah, there's no good excuse for that. I just sleep on the mutation, to be honest. But for those of you who don't know, nowadays you don't have to be in a team with other people, and especially no people have to be around in order to get benefits from the herd mentality mutation. which is something that you wouldn't believe just by reading the description, because it basically tells you that it's not working that way. However, yeah, just be on a team on your own is enough to get the benefit from that mutation. And yeah, that's basically the whole thing we are utilizing here, to be honest. In addition with obviously legendary luck maxed out and yeah, one armor piece with extra luck. But other than that, yeah, it gave me a good reason to utilize the Union not power armor skin, the Union Secret Service armor skin, which I think is really cool. I really like the whole look of the character. It's great. Secret Service armor obviously is a good choice no matter what, and yeah, you have a jetpack, which is also cool outside of power armor especially. So yeah, pretty obvious here. These guys shred me a little bit, which was kind of surprising. I didn't expect them to take my health down that much, but yeah. Anyways, back to the topic. Another thing that is noteworthy here is that even if you don't have a quad version of the double barrel shotgun with the vats critical meter filling faster, you can get very similar results here just by using a technique that I pretty much always go for when I'm doing a vats shotgunner, which is to use 4-leaf clover and better criticals. And 4-leaf clover is enough that on, like, I would say 80% of the time you can refill your critical meter within a single shot using a multi-projectile weapon like a shotgun. Just because, yeah, you get the chance to refill your critical meter that you get from 4-leaf clover with every single pellet that hits the enemy. And yeah, therefore 4-leaf clover works extremely well with shotguns. So ultimately it might even be a little bit too much of an investment to go for this crit approach here. Whoop, sorry, don't die here. That was a close call. Of course, the Soldier Dominators, they are no joke. Once they get their head laser in on you, they can severely maul you. But yeah, we barely survived it. Was a really close call though. Anyways, as you saw there, I took out its legs just because, yeah, it prevents them from moving, makes things a little bit easier here. And obviously, using a shotgunner, we have tremendous abilities to cripple enemies, which is always a nice benefit. And in my opinion, pretty much the single best thing about shotguns in this game. Just the control you have over enemies. Like, pretty much every single melee enemy doesn't have to be a problem if you don't want to. Just shoot their legs once or twice and they are out of the game. Now on this occasion I often just won't go for that approach because we can take down enemies very quickly either way, so it's not really necessary to draw the dive out. But having a critical on every second shot is really great for shotguns. For shotguns especially, because we don't have a single perk that gives us armor penetration with shotguns, and the fact that they have their damage spread between multiple projectiles means that they are naturally weaker when it comes to armor penetration than a lot of other weapons. So VATS criticals really go well with shotguns for that matter, because VATS criticals, as you probably know, they do bypass armor. So yeah, every second shot you do take with this weapon has the potential to just ignore armor, which is great. And therefore, yeah, it's not just double damage. Like, a critical shot on a shotgun can do way more than just double damage. And yeah, having that on every second shot is obviously a great thing. Now, another good thing about shotguns is that they also benefit from Tenderizer very well. Tenderizer, as you probably know, gives you 10% extra damage, and that's multiplicative extra damage after you shot an enemy once. So if you're one-shotting an enemy, it's not really going to matter that much, but let's face it, if you one-shot an enemy, it's okay anyways, I guess. But most of the tougher targets, you will take multiple shots. This, by the way, is also a technique I like to use, where I go for a safe shot to the torso just to refill my critical meter from a little bit of a distance, and the second shot has to hit just because we can use a critical. So if you're a little bit out of range, this can just make it work. And with a critical, you can just one-shot most enemies. But yeah. What was I talking about? Yeah, Tenderizer. And 10% multiplicative damage on a second shot is always great, but when it comes to shotguns, it's even a little bit better than that. Quite a bit better, by the even. Just because, here we can see what I was talking about earlier, by the way. Just because it can stack. Now, I'm not quite sure, as you know, I have made a break from the game for like half a year or something, so maybe something changed in the meanwhile, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't. Like, it should still work that way, where if you use a shotgun, you can get up to 40% multiplicative damage for the second shot. Now, if you combine all of that, meaning that you shoot an enemy once with a standard shot and vats, and then have a critical ready, your second shot will just do tremendous damage. I also have a calibrated receiver on my shotgun, not the hardened one, which I most of the time do use, just because if you're guaranteed to get a vats critical on every second shot, you might as well go all in with critical damage. So yeah, that's great. Obviously we could utilize buffs like Blight Soup and so on, but you know, I rarely use buffs in my videos, temporary buffs, unless it's something that really just makes the character. But yeah, as always, there's tons of options to further increase your damage output. Overall, I gotta say this is one of the more powerful shotgunners that I have played with, and there really isn't any type of content I don't feel like I can participate in a meaningful way. The only event where I had a little bit of trouble was, in my opinion, eviction notice, for the simple reason that, yeah, you have to get relatively close to enemies just to get meaningful damage in or hit them. Like with concentrated fire, you can kind of snipe just to tag enemies and get your XP and rewards, but still, you use a lot of shots until you finally hit. So you want to get relatively close, and the super mutants, especially the fire starters and eviction notice, can just be completely brutal. And yeah, that's basically it. Now, as you can see here, this character isn't super tanky or anything. Like, we do have a good amount of armor, and we do have some endurance going on, but it's not a tank. You really rely on using stimpaks every now and then and just kill enemies relatively quickly. But given you have to be in relatively close proximity to enemies in order to do damage, it's definitely not one of those playstyles where you just turn your brain off and don't bother. Now, we do have one piece of auto-stim armor, so it's not too crazy, but as you saw earlier with the Soltron, yeah, you can definitely get into trouble with this build. It's not like a super tanky character or anything. But overall, yeah, it's great. Now, one big thing that has to be done for this character in order to really work and give you a nice play flow, I would say, you do want to have high AP refresh. Now, don't get me wrong, you definitely get AP refresh every now and then from could get AP refresh every now and then from Grim Reaper Sprint, but that's not enough to rely on. So I do have 4 pieces of armor, I think, with AP refresh on, and in addition to that we do have Action Boy, so we can definitely refresh our action points very quickly, which also comes in handy using the jetpack. So basically, waiting for action points is not a big part of this character here. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Now, I do hear super mutants still, but I think that could have been the last one. Not entirely sure. Okay, there's another one. Tag him and go for the headshot. Forgot to activate the headshot, by the way, so yeah, that's why it took 3 shots, as you saw there. But yeah, now I guess we should be done. And yeah, that was the gameplay part of the video. I hope you enjoyed it so far, guys, and just taking another look at our guy here. Yeah, we can now take a look at our perks, mutations, and everything else. So as I do nowadays, I try to go over them a little bit more quickly, just saying what's really noteworthy here. In terms of mutations, there's nothing too crazy here. The only real thing that you want to have is herd mentality. That's what I talked about earlier. So you're getting 2 extra special for every member of your group, and 2 is enough. Like, that's what we need in order to get our 23 luck here. The rest is pretty standard, like Eagle Eyes, Bird Bones for extra agility and perception should be clear. Scaly Skin is just thrown in there. We have enough AP, and minus 12 AP is okay on this occasion for a little bit more resistance. Speed Demon Marsupial, pretty self-explanatory. Healing Factor is something that you just want to use or not. It's really up to you if you want to rely more on stim packs or not. And lastly, yeah, Adrenal Reaction, pretty much the same thing as I said about Healing Factor. Egghead, yeah, just a little bit more intelligence so we can level up a little bit quicker, but really not important at all. That being said, we're now going to take a look at our equipment here, and here it is. I pretty much talked about it in detail already. The quad, VATS hits chance, VATS critical meter feels 15% faster. Double barrel shotgun, aligned long barrel, aligned stock, reflex sight, nothing out of the ordinary here. I didn't go for any muzzle just to keep my range high, and as high as possible, by the way, at least. And lastly, the calibrated receiver for superior critical shot damage. So nothing too out of the ordinary here. I gotta say, I do love the Union paint. Really nice skin for this weapon here. Initially, when it comes to visuals, I set up my character differently, where I just used the plain Secret Service armor with no skins, and had the gray skin for the double barrel shotgun, which worked really nice together. But ultimately I wanted to do this Union character here, and yeah, that's pretty much it. When it comes to shotguns, ammo efficiency is great, just because if you're doing daily ops or expeditions, you get so many in return that you don't have to craft a single shotgun shell basically with this build. So ammo is never a concern, and similar to that, condition is great on shotguns nowadays, in my opinion. Like, they are so easy to maintain, so yeah, that's definitely something they have going for them. In terms of armor, we are a little bit all over the place. We do have one auto-stim piece with luck, that's one of the important ones here, but the rest is basically just mix-match stuff. The only real thing I was looking out for was extra AP refresh here. So yeah, we have 4 pieces with AP refresh, but as I said, nothing too crazy. We have one Vanguard's piece there. No, we don't even. One Mutant's piece, one Mutant Slayer's piece, School Slayers, and Chameleon, which we don't utilize whatsoever. So yeah, I think you get the point here. It's just using the inherently good Secret Service armor. I have the butt rest on everything just to get the resistances up, and deep-pocketed to increase my carrying capacity, and yeah, that's it. Would go very well with ultralight, by the way, but I didn't want to spend the bullion, basically. That's it. Maybe noteworthy, we do have the floor walker bandana for those of you who were wondering what that is, and the Union backpack, obviously, chemist's backpack modification, and shielded Secret Service under armor for extra strength and endurance mainly, but the perception is also nice here. Then we go over to our perks. 14 strength, we have all the shotgunner perks maxed out, in addition with scatter shot, so these shouldn't be anything too out of the ordinary here. You probably understand it. Shotgunner for damage, scatter shot for the reload speed. Having reduced weight on your shotgun is nice, but really it's the reload speed we're after. And lastly, we do have bandolier, just because, yeah, we're carrying ballistic ammo. Now, you could get away without it if you really don't care for carrying around a lot of ammo, just like, yeah, having 2,000 shots of shotgun shells on you would not be a problem with your carry weight, so you can definitely get away without it if you want to. In terms of perception, this is always a little bit of an odd thing here. I do have Skeet Shooter. This is pretty straightforward, increasing our accuracy, which is great, so we have a better VATS hit chance. The spread doesn't bother us just because we use VATS, and therefore we either hit all of the shots or none of them anyways, but it's really just about a little bit of an accuracy boost and 1 point of concentrated fire, just so we can target specific limbs. But obviously having concentrated fire maxed out here would be nice, just for a little bit more extra VATS hit chance from more perception overall, and then in addition to that, having better increase in VATS hit chance after each single shot. But I didn't really have the points here, and ultimately I felt quite fine with just rank 1 here. Then we do have endurance. I wanted to have a little bit going on here, so we went with 9 endurance. Adamantium skeleton and fireproof are just always good picks. Unless you are in power armor, then adamantium skeleton would be useless, obviously. And ghoulish, this is just nice in my opinion if you're fighting ghouls especially, which is something I do a lot. And in close quarters, yeah, if I'm fighting ghouls, I'm always getting a hit in here and there, and while it's not enough, the radiation damage from ghouls is not enough to heal more than they hurt you. It definitely tones down the amount of of damage you get from them. Like if you combine it with blocker, it can be enough so you don't really take any damage from ghouls, but that didn't feel necessary here. Tenderizer, I talked about it. I mean, it's always in pretty much every single build I do, just because it's such a good universal perk, but on this occasion it's especially good, and I explained why that is. When it comes to intelligence, I have 5 legendary intelligence, so yeah, ultimately I just filled it with some stuff. First aid, pretty obvious here, just gives us a little bit of a boost when using Stimpaks. I know a lot of people don't really need it and say they swim in Stimpaks anyways, so you can definitely live without it, but I might as well use it here. And Nerd Rage, which is always something that throws people off a little bit when they see it on a non-bloodied character, just because it's very situational. But just think back about the situation where we were attacked by the Assaultron Dominator. Like, it's not even a discussion. Without Nerd Rage, we would have died there. It just gives you this time to react using a Stimpak. So First Aid and Nerd Rage, in my opinion, go very well together. Then we go over to Agility. This is our first stat that's completely maxed out here, even boosted a little bit further with Legendary Agility, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we do have Action Boy, I said it. You don't necessarily need it. Just when you have 4 pieces of AP Refresh Armor, you can definitely live without it. I still wanted to have it here though. Then we do have Enforcer, pretty obvious choice, just so we can cripple enemies very fast. Now when it comes to Enforcer, obviously 1 point is already enough. Like ultimately, in a lot of situations, if you hit an enemy, want to cripple an enemy, it doesn't really matter if you have to shoot him once or 3 times maybe, but yeah, it's still nice to have and fits the character well. Then we do have Gun Fu, just for the gimmick of switching from target to target. It's not something that happens all of the time. We not really make use a lot of the extra damage that comes with it, but it's just nice to have in my eyes. Then we have White Knight. We are in relatively close proximity to enemies. We take a lot of hits, we soak up a lot of damage, so our armor is prone to wear and tear relatively much. And just so you don't have to repair your armor all of the time and reduce that a little bit, we have White Knight here, and if you have to repair it, it's also pretty cheap. Especially on the Secret Service armor, it's pretty cheap to repair in my eyes anyways. And lastly, we have Adrenaline, just because it's such a good perk, and yeah, why wouldn't we have it? Extra damage in most situations is great. Then we do have Luck, and obviously I wanted to have Luck maxed out here. Ultimately our goal was to get a Luck stat of 23 or higher, so going for 15 Luck was just necessary here. And Grim Reaper Sprint, better criticals, and Critical Savvy, that's very basic here, there shouldn't be any discussion about it. I said it, Critical Savvy combined with Vats crits filling faster and 23 Luck, that's what you need in order to get a critical on every second hit. Unless you are a bloodied build with 40 luck or something, then you don't need the legendary effect. But anyways, Star Genes, yeah, we want to keep our mutations, not get any new ones, so this is a pretty obvious one. And Class Freak, just reducing the debuffs. Mainly, we do have a lot of debuffs to our strength and endurance, which felt like, yeah, bothersome. It's not like a make and break on this character, we don't necessarily need it, you can definitely run it without it, but I just felt a little bit more tanky overall using Class Freak, so I used it, and that left us with 1 point to spare here. And as always in Luck, if you have 1 point to spare, you might as well put it into Bloody Mess for a little bit of extra damage. It's not the world, but you can go with tons of different things here. So yeah, ultimately Bloody Mess has to be a good choice, you know. Looking at our legendary perks is the last thing we're going to take a look at here. It's pretty boring on this occasion, like 5 out of 6 of our legendary perks are filled with legendary stats, so just so we have access to more perks and can boost our agility and luck passively. Luck, this is noteworthy. Have it, this should be your priority, straight. If you want to go for this kind of build where you get a crit on every second shot and don't want to go bloodied, legendary luck has to be there, basically. So yeah, max that out as soon as possible. So just by having 15 luck base and this on top, we have 20 luck, so we only have to get 3 extra luck in order to get to the threshold that we need. And as I said, in the past I've often used Vault Under Armor just so we can get to 22 and then just have to find one more luck by using armor or something. On this occasion, yeah, we use the herd mentality mutation and one armor piece with extra luck. And lastly, we do have what rats here, which is just convenient. You can do whatever you like here. So what would be a good choice, for example, is taking one for the team, which would give you a great damage boost in a lot of situations. You're often under attack from enemies that you are fighting, so that would be great. I have what rats here, which is obviously a little bit of a waste. You're not going to have a problem with radiation damage, so this is just for convenience. Go for whatever you like here. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Now this was one of those builds that on paper didn't seem all that crazy. Like there's nothing crazy going on, no hidden mechanic or anything, but it's an overall very nice build. And especially if you want to go for a shotgunner and people tell you that you can't do that or it's not a good idea, you will struggle with boss battles and so on, this one is a good option. Like, you're not going to solo the Scorch Beast Queen. I think you could probably even do it in time. It wouldn't be a pleasant thing to do though. But you can participate in every event in a meaningful way. There's not a single enemy in game that will be a big threat outside of the big bosses like Earl Williams or the Scorch Beast Queen. So even a Myler Queen you can take down relatively easy and relatively quickly. We're talking about like maybe a minute or something. So I've gone against like 2 or 3 of them. It's something I often do to test my characters, and I found it pretty easy. It's a little bit boring to fight them because you just cripple them till they lay there, and yeah, then you wail at their feet basically. So it's a little bit of an anticlimactic fight, let's say, but yeah, that's not a bad thing at all, like if you can trivialize enemies like that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and see you next time. Bye.